Hey, what's up, Maker? This is Katie. You're watching Katie's YouTube channel, and I thought I'd put together a quick little tutorial on how to troubleshoot when your shapes are not appearing in Inkscape. I am a pretty new Inkscape user, pretty new to the laser world in general, so bear with me if I use the wrong terminology or I have to click something twice before I figure out how to, you know, move forward. But I thought I'd put together this little tutorial because I ran into the issue of trying to put a shape on Inkscape and knowing that it's there because I could see that little box that appears around it, but that the shape itself wasn't appearing, and I wasn't sure if my color was set to white, if the opacity was messed up, or what was going on. So I thought I'd go over the three most common reasons why your shape is not appearing in Inkscape. Uh, so let's go ahead and go over the first one. The first reason why your shape is not appearing in Inkscape is likely because there's no fill and stroke set on that shape. So let's just go over the first here. So I have put, actually, let's go ahead and start from the very beginning just so that we can go through it all together. Okay, so I've put a circle and I see that little box around it, but again, I don't see my actual circle. I don't see any colors going on, and I'm not sure why. So the first thing that you want to do when you notice that your shape isn't appearing is ensure that you have a fill and a stroke color set. You can see that if you go down below, as you can see, it's showing the fill is set to none and the stroke is set to none. Inkscape can't show me a shape if I haven't assigned it a color to fill the object, right? That's the inside, or a stroke, which would be the outline of the shape on the outside. I haven't given any of those a color, and so that is why my circle is not appearing. So if this happens, we need to open up the fill and stroke screen. You can do that by hitting Shift Control F, or you can just go over here on this side, make sure that you've got your image selected, and it should appear on the right hand side. So, and I see mine here, it says fill and stroke. So, and I'm under the fill tab, and right now I see it says no paint. So if I want to fill my circle with a color, I need to pick one of the options here. I'm just going to go with the first one, which is a flat color. So I want to fill my entire circle. Let's just make it purple. Okay, and there it is. Now I can see my circle, my purple circle, and if I go back down to the bottom, I now see that the fill is assigned to that purple shade. Now if I want to add a stroke, I'm going to go back over to the fill and stroke module, and I'm going to click on stroke paint. And right now, again, it's showing no paint. So if I want to just give it a solid, line, solid color, I'm going to click on the first box option and I'm just going to pick a color. Let's just go with green. And there we go. So I have now a color assigned, but if you notice, I still don't see a green ring around my circle. So the next thing that I need to do is go under the stroke style and make sure that I've assigned some width there, and I have. But again, I don't see the green circle. So this brings me to my second reason why your shape is not appearing in Inkscape, and that being because the colors alpha channel is set to 0. Now you'll know there's something wrong with the alpha channel if you scroll to the bottom of your screen and either under fill or stroke, you notice this little checkered pattern where your color is supposed to be displayed. So my purple looks good, and that's why I can see it just fine on my sheet here, but my green is missing and I see that checkered pattern in front of it. So there's something going on with the color channel, the alpha color channel on my stroke. So I'm going to go back to the fill and stroke and I'm going to click on the stroke paint and I'm going to take a look and make sure that I've got, a alpha number assigned that's not 0. And that one is the last here. It's A for alpha. This is the channel, and sure enough, it is set to 0. So that's the opacity. And so, if I set to 0, I'm saying that I don't want to see it at all. It's going to be completely transparent, which I need to change that. So, I'm just going to give it a number. I'm just going to use 255. And that has brought the green back to my screen. Now, if you notice, it's really taken over my purple circle. And the reason for that is because if I go back under the stroke style, I see that the width is set to 37.28 millimeters. And so I need to make that much smaller. I'm just going to assign it to 2 for now. And there we have it. So now I see my purple circle with a green stroke on the outside. I can see my shape. If I go back down to the fill and stroke, I see that both are now assigned a solid color and everything looks to be in order. So there is a third reason why your shape may not be appearing in Inkscape, and I'm just going to go over that really quickly. If you've reached it, to this point in the video and you've found your shape already, feel free to, jump off. But if you still can't see your shape, I recommend staying through the video a little bit longer, and we'll go over the third most common reason why your object is not appearing in Inkscape, which is the object's opacity is set to 0. Okay, so let's take a look at what that might look like in Inkscape if that's the case. So I have my image selected still, and again, you're going to want to go under the fill and stroke. In this case, I'm going to look at my fill and make sure that the opacity is something greater than 0. If you want to see the full vibrancy of the color, go ahead and leave the opacity at 100. But let me just change it to 0 so that you can see what it looks like. So again, I am going to change the opacity on my fill, which is what is currently purple. And right now I see that it's at 100, which is why I can see it so perfectly. But if I change it to 0, it goes away. It goes away completely. And so let me go ahead and start to bring it back. I'm going to just do it to 30 and hit enter. And now I can see that my shape is back. It's rather transparent. That's because my opacity is set only to 30%. So it's like I want to see 30% of the brightness essentially. And if I want it to be darker, I'm just going to increase the opacity by either toggling the little arrow or entering the number. Sometimes you want to change the opacity if you're making like a watermark or something like that, and that's a really cool tool to have. But in this case, I'm just making sure that I can see the full colors, so I've brought my opacity back to 100. Okay, so that completes this tutorial. I hope that you found it helpful. If you did, please like, please subscribe, please leave a comment down below of what you'd like to see next. Again, this is Katie's YouTube channel. This is my first video, so appreciate all the love and support, and I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye, Maker.